Hello friends, welcome back to this session on social reforms. In this paper named Making of Indian Nation, we are studying the journey of our nation through different phases of socio-cultural, political and educational reforms. Friends, reforms are gradual positive changes directed towards progress of the society. These reforms are ushered in by visionaries who deny accepting the age-old social taboos and stigmas and devoting their lives for social betterment. In our previous session, we had studied contribution of Rajaram Mohan Roy, an early Indian reformist and father of modern India, who raised voice against social evils such as sati system, denial to education, child marriage, caste discrimination, idol worship, polytheism, etc. We know that our society still suffers from some of these stigmas. Yet, the path of reform paved by Mohan Roy 2 centuries ago is truly commendable. Today, the reformist about whom we are going to talk is Swami Dayanand Saraswati. Swami Dayanand Saraswati was a typical fearless social and religious reformer of 19th century. He was mystic and yogi and could remain in samadhi for 18 hours at a stretch. He could live on milk alone for days together. He remained hungry for days as it was not his custom to beg for food. He faced hardship and was stoned and even poisoned many a times. All this just because his ideas were quite ahead of his time and were unacceptable to conventional Hindu society. Nobel winner Roman Roland, Sir Aurobindo, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan paid their rich tribute for his character, wisdom, strong will and courage. On the basis of his deep studies of Vedas and Upanishads, he ridiculed the incompatible tradition that considered Vedas as merely mythological and ritual books. He proved that these were the authoritative revelation and inspirational books of knowledge, the source of all sanctions and standard of truth. He therefore appealed to Indian society to go back to Vedas. The reform that he tried to bring in the society were based on his knowledge of Vedas. Friends, let us know about this personality in detail. Life sketch of Dayanand. Swami Dayanand Saraswati was born on 12th February 1824 in Tankara in the state of Morvi, South Gujarat, in a rich Brahmin family. His father Krishnaji Lalji Trivedi was Tahsildar of Tankara and the ruler of Morvi had granted him troop of horses both for protection and as a mark of honor. Krishnaji was a staunch follower of Lord Shiva and Dayanand was born in Mula Nakshatra and therefore the boy was named Mula Shankar. At a very young age, he had acquainted knowledge of Sanskrit and Yajurveda. Just like Rajaram Mohan Roy, Dayanand turned out to be rebellious and militant child of their family. Once while sitting before the idol of Shiva, young Mula Shankar saw a mouse dancing on the idol. A question struck his rebellious mind that if the idol cannot protect itself from a small creature, how is it going to protect the mankind? It is said that death of his sister and uncle left Mula Shankar with questions like what is life and what is death? What is the basic purpose of life? To find answer to these questions and in search of true knowledge, Mula Shankar left comforts of his house at the age of 21. He wandered for 16 years in search of true Guru. During his journey in hills and forest, he came across Swami Purnanand, a profound scholar and sannyasi. Swamiji initiated the young man into the holy orders and there he was given the name of Dayanand Saraswati. He wandered from place to place and talked to many sadhus, yogis, mahants and sants. But his journey found destination at the foot of Swami Virjanand. in Mathura, who became his spiritual guru. He gained true knowledge of Sanskrit and learned interpretation of Vedas and Upanishads. As Guru Dakshina, Virajanand asked Dayanand to propagate the knowledge of Vedas. After his education, as ordered by his master, Swami Dayanand undertook preaching of Vedic knowledge. He went to places like Agra, Ajmer, Jaipur, Gwalior, Meerut, Hardwar and Kanpur, where he discussed the scriptures and the meaning with the Pandits and scored resounding victory over them. Wherever he went, he told the people, idol worship is not mentioned in the Vedas. The rational mind cannot accept idol worship. God is everywhere. God has no shape or form. Without supporting or opposing any particular religion, he pointed out the shortcomings of every one of them. He bitterly criticized the harmful and wicked customs that have come down through the centuries. He explained the greatness of the religion preached in the Vedas, and he gave a clarion call to unite under its banner. Let us now study contribution of Dayanand in various areas of reform. Dayanand, a social reformist. Dayanand Saraswati had travelled length and breadth of India and was moved by the pitiable condition of Indians. He had realized that Indian society can develop only if it shatters the chain of social evils that had clutched the nation. Some of the social reforms advocated by him were caste and caste system. Indian social reformers have always condemned caste discrimination that prevailed in India. Dayanand also had radical views on caste and caste system. He rejected the conventional caste system followed by Hindu religion and never considered it as divine and as a creation of God. According to him, caste system has created artificial barriers resulting in social and cultural stagnation and decline. Dayanand claimed that the Vedic conception of caste was division of labor and cooperation. Vedic caste was not based on notion of high and low. Dayanand interpreted the last 3 mantras of the Rig Veda and also cited from Yajurveda, that is 6th mantra of chapter 40, and the Atharva Veda, 6th mantra of chapter 19, to prove that the Shudras and the right of association with others, of participating in socio-religious rituals and functions and reading sacred texts. He sought to establish that in Vedic times no class or profession such as scavengers or bhangis existed, and this class emerged only with the advent of Mughal rule in India. Dayanand advocated caste based on character and merit and disassociated it with the accident of birth. He said that through education even Shudras deserving promotion can be made a Kshatriya or a Brahmin. In his writing, he suggests that the result of examination can become basis of social gradation as an alternative to caste system based on birth. All in all, we can say that Dayanand did not oppose the caste as such, but he opposed caste based on birth. Untouchability. Dayanand condemned untouchability and argued that every human being must be treated with equal respect and dignity, and every human being had right to interpret and study Vedas. In a letter that he wrote on 31st October 1878 to a Sikh carpenter, Gandha Singh Dhiman, he observed that it would do more good to the world if a non-Brahmin studies Veda and Sanskrit than if the Brahmin alone studies. It is said that once a barber brought food for Swamiji and other people objected. Swami Dayanand accepted the food, saying it was wheat bread and not a barber bread. His actions were bold and radical considering the orthodoxy that prevailed in rural India during that time. Next is child marriage. Yet another social evil that was highly criticized by Dayanand was child marriage. He opposed child marriage and advocated the minimum age of marriage for a girl to be between 16 and 24 and for the boy between 24 and 28 years. According to him, Vedic conception of marriage is that of a sacrament that binds a grown-up couple in a matrimonial bonds, while the status of women is that of a divine helpmate of a man in all the spheres, private and civic, of human life. He pleaded for granting women the rights and status equal to men in all respects, including education, marriage and property. Marriage, he claimed, should always be arranged with the consent of the boy and the girl, since the chief concern in marriage was the mutual acceptability of the bride and the bridegroom by each other. And this is possible only when both attain their mature age. Dayanand, an educationist. Dayanand Swami was fully convinced that the nation cannot prosper unless education spreads among the masses. He believed that our education system should be indigenous and not a carbon copy of English education system. He was a strong follower of Vedic knowledge, and he therefore felt that this knowledge should reach our masses through our education system. Hence, he advocated setting gurukuls for young boys and girls. There should be a law that would compel parents to send every boy or a girl who is 8-year-old to school where they stay with their gurus. There would be separate gurukuls for boys and girls. The king's son and the farmer's son should be equal in gurukul. They should all be made to work alike. The gurukul should be situated far from the town and city and should enjoy calm and serenity. Our culture and our great books like the Vedas should be introduced to our students. Side by side, mathematics, geology, astrology and other sciences which are important in modern life should also be taught. Swami Dayanand founded gurukulas at various places to fulfill these objects. Swami even prescribed the curriculum for an ideal education. According to him, it must include grammar, philosophy, Vedas, science, medicine and art. The various DAV, that is Dayanand Anglo-Indian colleges and gurukuls flourishing even today are a testimony of his zeal to spread education. He laid a particular emphasis on equality of women. According to him, there must be justice and fair play between men and women, nation and nation. Education was everyone's birthright. He used to say that India had fallen to such a miserable condition precisely because women were not given education, but were kept in ignorance. As long as women were prisoners of foolish customs like the pardas, progress was beyond reach, like the reflection of a bundle of jewel in a mirror. They should throw away their pardas. Sita and Savitri are remembered not because they were behind the parda, but because of their chastity and virtue. Dayanand bitterly opposed untouchability. He said that untouchability is a dreadful curse to our society. Every living being has a soul which deserves affection. In every human being there is a soul worthy to respect. Everyone who does not know this basic principle cannot understand the true meaning of the Vedic religion. Friends, let us also understand some of the philosophy popularized by Dayanand. Go back to Vedas. In search of truth, Swami Dayanand went straight back to the Vedas. He completed his Vedic studies under Swami Virjanand in 1864. During his studies, he realized that Vedas are the most authoritative repository of knowledge and truth spoken in the words of God. He travelled extensively across India till 1874 for Vedic propagation and learning. In order to re-energize Vedic knowledge and reawaken awareness of four Vedas, namely Rigved, Yajurved, Samaved and Atharvaved, he wrote and published more than 70 interpretative works, primary among them being Satyartha Prakash, Rigvedadi, Bhashya Bhumika and Sanskar Vidhi. He spent a lifetime preaching against many Hindu customs and traditions that he believed were meaningless and oppressive. This included practices such as idol worship, polytheism, child marriage, casteism and untouchability. Through his writings, discourses and debates, he showed the Hindu how going back to the roots of their faith, that is Vedas and Upanishads, will improve social, political and economic condition of the then India. Dayanand made his first attempt on social reform by establishment of Gurukuls or Vedic schools. These schools were highly focused on Vedic values and culture of its students. This initiative represented the first practical application of Swami's vision of social reforms. In place of idol worship, students were introduced with the concept of Sandhya or Swadhyaya. Here students sitting together forming a group shared their daily thoughts every evening. This introduced a social regeneration in terms of Vedic culture in India. Swami, through school, wanted to abolish hereditary right to knowledge and uplift the masses by means of education of Vedas. Arya Samaj, which means Society of Noble. Swami Dayanand founded the Hindu reform organization called Arya Samaj on April 7th, 1875 in Mumbai, and also created its 10 principles, which are quite distinct from Hinduism, yet based on Vedas. These principles aimed at advancing the individual and society through physical, spiritual and social betterment of the human race. His aim was not to establish a new religion, but to re-establish the teachings of the ancient Vedas. As he said in Satyartha Prakash, he wanted true development of humankind by the acceptance of the supreme truth and rejection of falsehood by thorough analytical thinking. Principles of the Arya Samaj. God is the efficient cause of all true knowledge and all that is known through knowledge. God is existent, that is Sat, intelligent, that is Chit, and blissful, that is Anand. He is formless, omniscient, just, merciful, unborn, endless, unchangeable, beginningless, unequated, the support of all, the master of all, omnipresent, immanent, unaging, immortal, fearless, eternal and holy, and the maker of all. He alone is worthy of being worshipped. The Vedas are the scriptures of all true knowledge. It is the paramount duty of all Aryas to read them, teach them, recite them and to hear them being read. One should always be ready to accept truth and to renounce untruth. All acts should be performed in accordance with dharma, that is, after deliberating what is right and wrong. The prime object of the Arya Samaj is to do good to the world, that is, to promote physical, spiritual and social good for everyone. One's conduct towards all should be guided by love, righteousness and justice. We should dispel avidya, that is ignorance, and promote vidya, that is knowledge. One should not be content with one's own welfare alone, but should look for one's own welfare in the welfare of all. One should regard oneself under restriction to follow altruistic ruling of society calculated to promote the well-being of all, while in following the rules of individual welfare all should be free. All Samajists were expected to follow these principles. Another unique feature of this organization is that it functions on democratic principle, that is, every member has right to vote and decide the head of his organization. Activities related to social reforms were channelized through Arya Samaj. Even today, there are many Arya Samaj organizations functioning within and outside India. They work mainly for physical, social, intellectual, moral and spiritual condition of mankind. Their paramount contribution are seen in against evils such as alcoholism, idolatry, caste discrimination, superstitions, unworthy ceremonies of the ancestral faith. Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, Justice M.G. Ranade, Sir Ahmad Khan were great admirer of Dayanand Saraswati. Lala Lajpat Rai, one of the great leaders of Indian National Congress, a freedom fighter and a member of Arya Samaj, observes that by declaring that everyone, including women and non-Brahmins, have the right to study Vedas, and by rendering them into Hindi language of the common people, both of which were considered as a sacrilege, that is apavitra, Dayanand brought about revolution which by one master stroke shattered the shackles which Hindus had borne for centuries. Dayanand Saraswati is known for actively participating during revolt of freedom fight in 1847. He believed that India should attain its freedom through armed revolution. Death of Dayanand Saraswati. Dayanand's view and action were rebellious and quite ahead of his time. Though he had good number of followers, yet he was not short of enemies too. He was poisoned by his cook on 29th September 1883. It is said that the cook was bribed by King of Jodhpur, who was against Swami's principles. The cook felt guilty about his deed and he confessed this before Dayanand Saraswati. On knowing this, Dayanand gave him money bag at his disposal and asked him to leave immediately, saying that if people came to know this, he will be killed. Dayanand was bedridden for a month, and in spite of all care and treatment, on 30th October 1883, he died at Ajmer. Friends, liberty, freedom and religious progress that we enjoy today should be attributed to contribution extended by reformist Swami Dayanand Saraswati. In our upcoming session, we will be talking about yet another Indian reformer and his contribution towards socio-religious betterment. Thank you.